Okay. Welcome. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here this evening. I'm sorry we're getting started a little bit late. We're getting the fashion show ready as we speak. So we're just getting those last couple models fitted. But let me introduce the evening to you. So my name is Robin Atkinson. I'm the CEO of the Arkansas Arts and Fashion Forum, as well as NWA Fashion Week. And Arkansas Arts and Fashion Forum is a 501c3 organization that's dedicated to providing educational opportunities and professional development opportunities and mentorships to people who are interested in the fashion and design community in Arkansas, with the specific goal of fostering and creating a larger fashion and design community. So earlier this year, we launched an educational program with the Student Design Showcase at NWA Fashion Week Fall Shows. We had students from across the state put designs down the runway, students from Northwest Arkansas, and that was the launch of our educational pilot program. This evening is the launch of our speaker series element of the educational program. So we're really, really excited to have brought Korto Momolu here tonight to launch the speaker series. This program is made possible by a very generous grant from the Walton Family Foundation, and we're thrilled that you guys are here to join us for our very first educational speaker series event. So, without further ado, I'm going to tell you a little bit about our guest tonight. So, who here is familiar with Korto Momolu from Project Runway? Okay, awesome. That makes my job a lot easier. So, I cannot personally be more excited to kick off this series with Arkansas-based designer Korto Momolu. I met Korto while preparing for the Northwest Arkansas Fashion Week spring shows, this past 2018 spring shows. And she is even more talented and kind than her reputation would suggest. Korto was born in Liberia and moved to Canada in 1990 following the outbreak of the Civil War in her native country. Her heritage is a large influence on her designs, where she combines traditional luxury fabrics, skins, mixed prints, high color, and diversity in style and presentation. She got her degree in couture fashion at the L'Académie de Couturiers Design Institute in Ontario, and then went on to study at Parsons School of Art in New York. This is where I think maybe we'll have a podium next time. Korto is most well known for her appearances on Project Runway Season 5, where she earned first runner-up and fan favorite, obviously. She was also first runner-up on the third season of Project Runway All Stars, which is currently streamable on Hulu. So if you haven't watched it, after tonight, go home, binge it. It's a really good season. She also made a she came back to All Stars for the Project Runway's All Star Challenge, where she got second place. So most recently, Korto has been acting as an independent designer. She was named New York Magazine's top 5 designers to watch. Every fall, she shows at New York Fashion Week, and she also shows with the Timmons Foundation in Little Rock. We were extraordinarily lucky in getting her to show with us in spring at NWAFW. And so, without further ado, I'm thrilled to introduce Korto Momolu. Maybe.
How y'all doing? Gotta get my girls together backstage.
All right, Korto, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
So we're gonna start, this is just gonna be a casual conversation, and I think we're gonna sort of see how it flows. If we get to a topic that you have to know more about, feel free to throw a hand up, because this isn't scripted enough that you can't drive the conversation with your interest, because this is really about increasing our audience's knowledge about fashion and design in Arkansas, so let's just do that, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I'm gonna start from the very beginning, which is
Long time ago.
So, on your first birthday. No.
You do not want to hear that story.
Oh, okay. What was the initial reason? Why did you decide to become a designer? Was it something that you wanted to do from childhood, or was there something that launched you into it?
Well, I actually started as an artist. So, I remember being like very little in Liberia, drawing and just always being creative, finger painting. I don't remember anything about school, but I remember finger painting on the balcony at our school and waiting for it to dry, and getting like Barbie and having one choice and picking the one with the wedding dress, so I could make other outfits out of the wedding dress. But I had an art teacher that saw something in me in high school. I went to an all-girls boarding school, little known fact, in Canada. And I had a great art teacher, and she saw me stop drawing like stills and scenery, and I started drawing clothes all of a sudden. I just saw this thing in a magazine once. It was like an Oscar de la Renta dress, but it was hand-painted. I was like, oh, that's cool, and I kind of replicated it. And I just started going that route. She goes, I think you're going into fashion design. So she actually helped mentor me.
How old were you?
I was 16.
Okay.
So no, probably started at 15, like 11th. And then I did 13 years in high school in Canada. So I did 12, 13. So in like the 11th grade, and I started like making things. I made boxer shorts, and I would paint on them and get like sneakers that were plain and paint on those. And people were like, where'd you get that? I was like, oh, I kind of made it in my room. So, and then, it was just like, well, make me one. And then it just kind of started like that. I had no idea. I just knew I wanted to be creative, and she saw that part of me, and she just helped me build my portfolio up to actually go to design school.
So we've had a lot of designers in Arkansas, I think, start that way, where you get a garment that's already made and you just paint on it. It's your canvas, and you sort of start from there. So I'm interested, just for how does it work? How do you go from having taken a garment that is pre-made and embellishing it to saying, like, no, I have to make this myself. It's not going to be good enough unless I make it myself.
Well, actually, I didn't know how to sew. So at first, it was just easy to just buy things, and I was still painting, which I love to do art. So it was almost like I was still doing what I love, but it just happened to be on wearable art. And then there was never a desire to learn how to actually sew, because I knew I'd be bad at it. I had a funky feeling that it wasn't gonna be great. So once, and I'm gonna jump to the story, but we'll have to go back and talk about it later. But I had to get into design school, and in order to get in, you had to actually sew something. So I was like, oh, okay. So I had an aunt that knew how to sew, and she taught me. And it's funny, I watched her my whole high school years, because we stayed with her in Canada, and never thought once, oh, let me find out what she's doing over there. Never thought about it until I had to, and she taught me how to make a vest and I think a dress. And they're the most basic dress and vest you've ever seen in your life. But I did it, though, and it got me in.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that helps us sort of launch into the next question, which is fashion design is an extraordinarily competitive industry, and maybe one of the more competitive creative industries. So did you have a support network, a family or friends that when you said, okay, that's it, guys, I'm going into fashion, they said, we're going to be behind you, or did you sort of do it on your own?
Kind of a little of both, because when I started, it was in high school, so I had support for people who were buying my stuff, the boxers and the shoes and the T-shirts. And then it came one year, my parents called, and it was the whole, what are you going to be year? And my sister's like, well, I'm going to go into business. And they're like, applause came from like out of the sky. And I was like, well, I think I'm going to be a fashion designer. And like the world turned dark real quick, and everything started crashing. And my dad was like, well, wait, I'm not going to pay for you to draw all day. So I'm going to need you to find a real profession. So I went to my room and I cried like a baby, because I was like, what am I going to do with my life? And I thought, I've always wanted to be a lawyer. So I was like, okay, well, maybe I could do law and then like be a fashion designing lawyer, just anything for him to just put me through school, because I was like, I don't want to be anything else that's not creative. And it took actually, the war happened in Liberia, where I'm originally from. So imagine we were in Canada in school, and I woke up one day, and that's when I got the news that the war had broke out, civil war had broke out in my country, and my dad worked in the government. So we already knew what happens. When that happens, you get murdered. That's your family gets murdered, and you're on the run. So we got one phone call, and my parents were like, don't worry, everything's gonna be okay. And my parents are true African parents, and never say stuff like, I love you. They show you they love you, they don't tell you, and they both said they love me. So I was like, great, they're gonna die. This is it, But it took all that to happen. They were able to escape. They came to Canada, and we lost everything. Like, we were at like rock bottom. And I remember I got into the design school that my art teacher helped me get in. I was jumping around the house and so excited about it. And they waited till I calmed down, and they called me to their room, and they're like, we can't afford to put you through school. Like, we've lost everything. We have nothing. Like, we're going on welfare. And you and your sister, when we can work, because we're refugees in Canada, y'all are gonna have to work and help support the family. So that day, like, my whole life just ended. You know, I just thought I just died. Like, I literally felt like life was over. 16, your whole life you're being like mentored. This is what you're gonna do. You're gonna go to college, and then when you can go, you get into the top school in Canada, and you get told you can't go. So I just went into this deep depression, and I would sketch all day. Okay, so my clothes are getting, these rhinestones are attacking me all day. I would sketch all day and have my sketchbook, and my mom found my sketchbook one day, and she looked through it, and she came to me, and she's like, I didn't know you were this talented. Like, I knew you could draw and stuff, but I didn't know, like, this is really good. Like, why didn't you say anything? I'm like, dude, I've been winning contests. I would go to, like, school. I remember, like, 3rd and 4th grade, I would go to school and, like, win these art contests and come home and act like nothing happened. So how was your grades? How was math? That was great, thank you. You know, never say anything to anybody because I knew it wouldn't be celebrated. So I just never said anything. I just kept my little private art achievement life to myself. And I just told her, I was like, girl, I've been doing this forever. Like, it's been 16 years. Like, when did you not get a clue? So she became like my #1 supporter, my dad, because I all the way gave up. And she actually took my sketchbook to people that she thought could help our family. And one day she took it to church, and I wasn't there. This lady saw my sketchbook and my portfolio, and based on what she saw, she said she would pay for me to go to design school. She thought I was that talented that this complete stranger, you know, saw something in me that at the time I didn't see in myself, because life was over for me, you know? So I'll never forget that.
So that sounds like an actual miracle.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how did you process that? Like, how, you know, you get that news and then you say, you know, how do you?
I broke down crying again. I'm a crier if you haven't noticed yet from the stories. I was just like, because, you know, I prayed to God so hard for my family to leave Liberia. So I thought all my prayers were already in that. Right. So I felt selfish to even ask him for something so little as me being a designer. I'm like, okay, he saved your family from being murdered in the country, and we're all together. We didn't get split up like so many families did, and we don't have anything, but we can still build it. And then, hey, God, by the way, can I, you know? So I was just like, wow, I felt like it was favor. I didn't know what it was then, and I didn't know what faith was. My mom would always say, like, God will find a way, and I'd be like, you know, just rolling my eyes, because to me, it was just like, how is he gonna find a way? We have nothing.
Right.
How are we gonna get anything? Like, they took everything, like even like our baby pictures, we had nothing. Gosh. And so I couldn't see past that. I'm 16, I was like, I don't know how she can see it, but she did, and she talked to everybody she knew. She'd have that little sketchbook, and I'd be embarrassed sometimes, like, oh my God, you know, because I was just like, no one's gonna just be like, what are they gonna say, you know? And then this lady comes up and says that. It changed my life, and it taught me about faith, and it taught me about paying it forward. And I think that's why I'm so giving. People are always like, you're always giving somebody stuff. I was like, I feel like I can't ever repay that debt. Like, I just talked to this lady the other day. Her name is Martina Todd. She still lives in Canada. And I didn't even know she had seen like all the stuff with Project Runway. And I talked to her, and she's like, I followed you. I've made a great investment in you. And I just broke my heart, because I was just like, wow, she saw something in me that had my mom not had faith in me and took it to all these places, I wouldn't be here talking to you. Yeah. So that's amazing. So I try to teach that with my kids, and just designers that I meet that think that, you know, that one fashion show, you're just gonna break out and be Valentina or Versace. Like, no, dude, you gotta do about 5,000 more. I'm sorry the jack is attacking me. And, you know, and that's just how it works, you know? Yeah. So.
Okay. Gosh, that's so inspirational.
It really is. Right? Like, I'll never forget that. Like, that's a debt I can never pay. And I think paying it forward, helping other designers, and sharing stuff that I've learned, I feel like I have to share it, because, you know, I didn't pay for it, somebody else did. So it's just like, you have to. Yeah. You have to do it.
And that's how we get you up here.
Yeah, that's why I'm here, you know, because
you believe in the mission.
Yeah, being here is a huge part of, you know, the rest of my life, too. So.
Okay, so we're moving on to where you're a designer now. And you've worked as an independent designer in New York and in Arkansas. Oh, wait, no, I'm going to back up to the other question, sorry. Starting with the inspiration for your work.
Yes.
We know that your work is very heavily influenced by your Liberian heritage. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Do you think that focusing on that has a lot to do with just sort of processing all of that life
Yeah, it makes you closer, you know. We went back and forth a lot. So, you know, when I was 4, we first came here and we went back and forth, but it was always to be educated. My mom came and got her master's, then we went back. You know, my dad got his, we went back. So it was never to stay here. It was always to live in Africa, and, you know, and it was like off topic, but immigrants who come here, they come here because they need to be here. They don't come here because they want something that you have. They come here because they have no other choice. So when you think of an immigrant, regardless what side of the fence you're on, think of my face and my family. We just wanted to be together, and then my parents just wanted me to have a chance at life. And that's it. Because if nothing happened back home, I wouldn't be here. I'd be in Liberia, happy. Everybody wants to be where they're from. They choose to come here in those situations because they have no choice. So when you look at it now, if you weren't looking at it in that way, look at it that way. Everybody just wants a chance at life, at a better life. It's not to take anything from any of you. Okay?
Yeah, thank you for that.
So that's why, you know, I feel like I have to, because sometimes people don't put a face to what an immigrant is, and I'm that face. That story you just heard of, you know, your name being in the newspaper because they're looking for you and your family. You know, someone saying, bring him to me, and Charles Taylor, you've heard of him, Google him, horrible man, you know, saying, bring this family to me. I want to kill them myself. And that's what got us asylum in the U.S. because of that. Otherwise, they were going to split us up. They were going to send somebody over here and put us over here, and we were going to be in Canada. You know, and Canada took us in as a family, as a whole. The U.S. wanted my mom to send my brother's American. He was born here. They wanted to take him, and told my mom, well, just call somebody in the States and they can pick him up. And she said, no, we're just going to have to pray to God and we'll make it together. But Canada took us as a family, and that's why we ended up in Canada. So we're voting on November 6th. Let's make those votes count, because for real, these families deserve better. And that's the only political thing I'm going to say tonight. But I'm closer to my roots when I use it in my clothing, because that's something's taken away from you. That's how you stay closer to it. You know, I became more closer to eating African food, learning how to make it, cultural stuff, because those are things I missed out on growing up. So I try to put little pieces of that, because that's who I am, you know. And if you put pieces of you in your work, then when people take it away, it's like they take a piece of you with them. It's like a gift I'm giving away. Every time somebody buys a jewelry or a handbag or just anything, and that just makes it look like me. When you see something, I want you to say, well, that kind of looks like Koto stuff. So if somebody's ever stealing my work, it'd be like, no, saw that in Low Rock, that's not yours. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how you make it your own. You know, people always say, make it your own, you know, with the song or whatever you're doing, but that's how I make fashion my own. You can't reinvent the wheel. So how do I make it different? How do I make it stand out that when you see it, you know, okay, yeah, that's Koto. Yeah. You know, that's amazing. So that's why I always do that. And sometimes I don't even put it in there. People just see it anyways. It's like magic.
Just the whole ethos of it is that.
Yeah.
So, but tell us a little bit about how the other places you've lived influence the work. So, like, can we see Canada in the work? Can we see Arkansas in the work? How does that filter in?
You know, Canada is very multicultural. Like, I love living there because I never felt like I was strange. You know, they're very, what's the word?
Accepting,
accepting of your culture. Like when you go up there, there's Somalian restaurants, there's Indian restaurants, there's just places you can go and enjoy somebody's culture without it being like a weird thing or a strange thing. I never felt strange. And if my friends came to my house to visit and they had African food, they would just taste it and eat it, and it was just normal, you know? So there was never any boundaries. I remember when I met my husband, who's from here, we're in the elevator and we got out, he's like, you didn't notice that? I was like, notice what? He's like, there was somebody from every continent in that elevator. I was like, there was, but that was just my normal.
Right.
You know, from him, everything was just so black and white. I was like, everything you talk about is so black and white. He's like, you need to come to the South. You'll see why I'm like this. And I kind of do. When I came down here, I saw it, you know what I mean? But I never noticed that ever in my life, that there was somebody from every continent in the elevator, but that was my normal.
Yeah.
And nobody ever made it seem like that was a strange thing or something to point out. So, you know, I think the multiculturalism is still what I kind of put in there when I do my music for my runway shows. They're always something cultural or kind of strange. My daughter's like, why are you using that song? I was like, because I like it. It's cultural. Sometimes I
good
have
for you.
dancers, I just shake it up a little bit because, I just want it to be an experience. I want you to experience who I am.
Right.
When you leave, I feel like you'll know me a little better.
So it must have been pretty rough culture shock when you first landed in Little Rock.
Oh my God, if I didn't love that man.
Right?
Like, for real, like, I left for like 6 months, and let me see my braider back. I used to braid her hair back there. I used to braid hair when I first moved here. And one day I got up, I was like, I can't do this anymore. That would be when I went to Parsons. I was like, I'm gonna leave like enough money to pay the bills and the rent for about 8 months. But I gotta get out of here. Like, I left and went to New York because I had to breathe. Like, I wanted to be around like art and culture and design. And I came here too early because there wasn't nothing really going on in that sense here. That was way before like now.
Right.
So I used to feel like I was dying. I was like, God, are you punishing me? Like, what if I've done again? Are we back to this again? So yeah, it was rough. It was really, really rough. But he always said, like, why don't you just start it? You just do it, and then, people just come. So I did, and I almost did it just to prove him wrong. So I set up this show as an event space in Little Rock called Lulav. It doesn't exist anymore, but it's called Lulav, and it had this beautiful staircase. And I had like all these candles coming down. I had like an African dancer. I had drummers. It was really intimate, like 200 people. The lady from the Gazette, Helene Williams, she was there. And I just put it all out there. And, I got a great article after that. And literally that show, like, changed my life. Like, it introduced me to, like, Arkansas and Little Rock and just doing it. And like once I did it and it succeeded, he was like, so I couldn't, I was like, okay, you're right. So, and then it just kind of went from there,
Proving somebody wrong is really good motivation.
It really is, because he's always like, you just need to do it. And it's just like, man, he was right. So yeah, but I'm glad I did it. I'm glad he pushed me because I probably wouldn't have ever done it just out of fear.
And so did you go to Project Runway from Little Rock? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a big leap as well.
That's huge, yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what the differences between, being a designer in New York, being immersed in a fashion capital of the world, and how you design there, and then how do you design when you're in Little Rock? How do you keep focused and motivated and,
I mean, after that trip, I came back, did the show, and I think I was good after that, because then I think like a art community started forming, at least in Little Rock it did, and more things started happening and more events at the art center, and they were bringing designers down here, so it was livable for me because I could breathe. When you're an artist, whoever's an artist in here, you know what I'm talking about. Or if you're a musician, if you can't practice your craft, it's like a part of you is dying, because really that's your first love. Your husband, your kids come second, third, and fourth, but that's the thing you dream about all the time. And it sounds bad, but it's true, So once I had an outlet for it, I was good. So, being in New York, I mean, designers are like on every corner. Like when I tried out for Project Runway, the line was like 3 times the size of this room. Yeah. So they were like sending people home in the line, like, no, no, just going through it, trying to weed out the bad. But when you're in the place that's so competitive, no one can really see you. It's hard. You know what I mean? You can count the New York designers that made it, on like your 2 hands, but there's a gazillion of them you would never ever know. So thank God for a show like Project Runway that you can shine a little bit and say, hey, I'm here, me coming from Arkansas, no one on that show thought I had a chance in hell. They're like, oh yeah, she's out of here, like first challenge. So I really had to like show who I was and defend Arkansas. Like all the time I'm defending, like, okay, y'all, I say y'all all the time, da 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 da. But it was just always something. Like even when they came for our final thing with Tim Gunn, they were dreading coming down here. And they told me, it's like, we didn't want to really come down here. We were hoping Jennifer won because she lived in Italy, And I was just like, wow. But when they came here, they went to this place in Maumelle called Park on the River, beautiful by the water. And they're like, what is this place? I'm like, this is Arkansas. And that place, like all that stuff really inspired my collection on this show. And just the energy from here, like I would go places and the people were like fainting, like Hobby Lobby, like girls would be like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Like I never experienced anything like that in my life. And it just like the love I got, it was just I never imagined that. I just went on the show to win $100,000 to start my line. I never
Fair.
thought about.
Fair.
I swear, I did not think about being famous or people fainting and screaming. Like, we couldn't even go out to eat.
That's so bizarre.
It was crazy. So it was just like, but it was love. And those 6 weeks when I was home doing my collection, just all that love. I mean, some people thought I got kicked off. It's like, yeah, I was like, great, because, you know, you can't say anything.
Right.
But the love I got from the people who knew, like, that helped me. I needed it on those days, because some days you just in that world with these designers and it's cutthroat and everybody's for themselves, you know what I mean? So just having that energy, and I would pray every day before we did our final cuts. And, you know, everybody would go out and smoke. Some people be over here, and I'd just be like chanting and doing my little thing in the corner. And they thought I was crazy, but let me tell you, by the last few episodes, they're like, Kato, can we pray with you? I said, oh, you know Jesus now, do you? Okay. Yeah, they're like, well, maybe there's something to this praying thing she does every time. I was like, yeah, okay, he's gonna know you're being fake, but come on, you know, you can't turn them away, but yeah, come. But yeah, so that was kind of funny. And so that whole faith and just everything was just, it was amazing. Like, I still feel it now. So just to kind of answer a little bit of the question too, you know, like now it's been 10 years since I've been on the show. Yeah. And I still get requests to do things, not just here, but, you know, around the country. But here I get a lot, you know what I mean? I always get thought of like to do the uniforms at Crystal Bridges, like to have them think of me just because of my aesthetic and what I stood for on the show about dressing every woman. Like, I was just saying that stuff because that's who I was, but I didn't think anybody was really listening. Like, Alice Walton's like, hey, come do my uniforms. That was amazing to me to have that opportunity. So, you know, it is better to be down here, you know, because the girl who won, she's in New York. Yeah. I get her jobs all the time. Like, hey, I can't do this job. You want it? You know what I mean? Like, that happens a lot. And because she's in the city where there's a gazillion designers to choose from, established or non-established. So, Arkansas rocks.
So this is just like a little tidbit, factual tidbit, but I heard, and tell me if this is true, that when you get kicked off, even if you get kicked off on the first episode, you have to stay for the whole 6 weeks.
Yeah, we're on the 24th floor, and you get sent to the 30th floor.
Oh.
And
Ouch.
you still have to wake up in the morning and leave with us and go to Parsons. Because the paparazzi would see you. Right. And I remember our season, the guy, he was on watch. Like, he was an established designer, so he was like, yeah, I'm just going to come in here and win this thing. He didn't take anything serious, like, oh, I'm just going to throw this together. And they got rid of him real quick. Like, no, dude, you're going to actually put the work in or you're not going to stay. So his ego was like, he was in Vogue magazine. I'm like, dude, what are you doing here? You're in Vogue? Like, that's what we're trying to do. Like, what are you doing here? So he was being greedy, trying to get more, you know, and you got punished. But yeah, you have to stay there.
Oh, that is so
And we all leave 6 weeks later, however long it was, and go home. So it's awkward because what do you say on the bus driving to Parsons? You're just like.
Right. Sorry about that.
Yeah. I mean, but we would cry. Like, when you know, you get to know each other and you talk to each other, you become friends. Like, we would sit there and cry in the back for each other. Because somebody's dream just got taken. You're crying for 2 reasons. Thank God I'm here, but I'm going to miss you, girl. Yeah, but yeah, it's rough.
Okay, so we touched on this a little bit, but in terms of being in a state with a less dense artistic community, do you find that you're given more opportunities? Do you think that people think about reaching out to you because you are sort of an odd man out? Like, for instance, you did that event. So she was supposed to be in the Fall Fashion Week shows, but got pulled to like an extraordinarily fancy event in LA. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Do you think that some of that comes from the fact that you haven't blended in? That you said, I'm going to stick the landing in Arkansas and be an amazing designer in a completely out-of-the-way place?
Mm-hmm. I think it's both. That and just staying straight to what I said I was, you know, who I am,
being fabulous
what I designed for. Well, that too, I think.
That part as well, but...
But, you know, just being different and not being afraid to be different. You know, I've been different my whole life, so I didn't conform to anything like, oh, I'm only going to do size 2s and, you know, I'm just going to do the fashion thing. Like, my model on the show, Katarina, was considered the fat model, and she was like a 6, you know, and Heidi would always say stuff about her butt looking so big, and, like, we had to endure that. We would cry together, like, But I'm like, you're still gonna wear that tomorrow, right? Yeah, okay. You know, because it's just like, okay, if her butt is big, I must be like obese, because,
Right? Right?
you know, like, how dare you? Like, so, you know, when you stand for that, I think that helps too. And then being here, I'm not, I could have moved to New York or LA and all those things, but, you know, I stayed here for my kids. You know, I wanted them to have some normal sense of life. It was a huge sacrifice, because I do miss out on a lot, but, you know, I wouldn't want it any other way. I don't want them to grow up and hate me for, you know, thinking about myself and running all around the place, and you know, they want to just be normal. So I'm glad that, you know, like the event, and I couldn't do Northwest Arkansas Fashion Week because I know you guys know this girl. Her name is Taraji Henson.
Just a little lady.
So she called me to do an event in LA, and I was like, Robin, don't kill me. I'm sorry.
I was obviously like, you'll do the event in LA. We'll see you in November.
Yes. So it was awesome to be called for that, because not too many designers got to do it. So to be handpicked for that's huge. Yeah. To be able to do that in that arena, and she watched the show. Like, who knew? So many celebrities watch the show and remember you, you know, and be like, oh my God, it was rooted for you. And so that's amazing. Like, that show changes your life.
So if I'm a designer based in Arkansas, what can I do to, I mean, you know, one thing that we at the Arkansas Arts and Fashion Forum are really dedicated to is attraction and retention. So I want our creatives to stay. I'm here. I love it here. We're raising a family here. And I want all of the other creatives that feel that pull to be here to also feel that the opportunities are here. Yeah. But what is your advice to somebody who's trying to make it in design, but for whatever circumstance, find themselves here?
I think you have to start. I always tell people when I meet students, especially, or people who have like gone into other jobs and want to design, you just have to do it. You really have to just come up with a plan and step out on faith and do it. It sounds so cliche and so easy, but I mean, you really just have to make that step. You know, when you daydream, it's just in your head. Until you speak it, it's just a fantasy. It really is. Until you speak it and put it in the universe, nothing is going to happen. And that is the truth. How many times have you said, oh, you know, I'm going to da-da-da-da-da, and then like 2 hours later you run into something, it's like, oh my God, I just said that. You have to put it in the universe. Because if it's just in your head, God's like, well, you're not ready. You haven't even told anybody. People in your house that live with you don't even know you want to be a cake decorator, but you want to be a cake decorator. So I think that's the first step. Saying it, speak it, and then step out and then see what opportunities, you know, putting yourself out there. I've done some really funky fashion shows. Like, I mean, I would just be embarrassed to even say like what it was, but you have to start at the bottom. I think what a lot of people now, they're coming into design, they want to start out and be Instagram celebrities like on their first fashion show. And I'm sorry, you have to put in the work. I've done shows where I put the chairs up, set up the stage, did the models, the hair and makeup, got myself dressed, said all that stuff, took pictures when they left. Okay, put the chairs back up and pay the person. You know what I mean? Like, seriously, one-man show, you know, and have people along the way that have come and been a great team for me. But you have to put in the work. I think a lot of designers I meet here just don't want to put the work in. Yeah. And the ones who have, they get stuck. So I think for those designers, creating opportunities where they can maybe come and do a weekend with Kato, a weekend with whoever, where they can come in and we can look at what they're doing and say, okay, well, this right here, what you're doing, and didn't work out. Maybe you need to try this. Sometimes that one-on-one can help. And if you have the opportunity with these designers, I'm more than willing to be there to say, you know, hey, let's see what you're doing. Yeah. You need to scrap that. These fabrics you're buying are way too cheap. Sometimes maybe you have to show 6 pieces instead of 12. Yeah. So you can put more money into your work so it looks expensive. Like Michael Kors always say, it just looks expensive. You know, people just love to look good. And if you have stuff on that looks like it's not expensive right out the gate, no one wants to buy it. Right. So if it looks like $1 million on the model, people want to buy it. That's how it works. That's why models look so amazing. That's the whole gimmick, right? Right. And if you see yourself in it, you'll want to buy it too. So I think there's so many little things I see all the time. And sometimes you don't want to be so sharp with people. You don't want to break dreams, but sometimes you just have to be real. And if they're willing to be real and have a real conversations with designers, we can do that. Because I think my next step, I think I spoke to you about, I want to groom designers here and start taking them to New York to show at Fashion Week. But if they're not ready,
Yeah.
I can co-sign it. So in order to be ready, I can help you get ready, but you have to trust me that if I'm giving you the playbook, this is what we gotta do. You can't go on the field and be like, well, I'm gonna go here. No.
Yeah.
So yeah, something
To
like
do
that
a
would be
boot camp.
awesome.
Kato's designer boot camp.
Yeah.
I've already got it on the schedule. Don't
Let's
worry.
do it. Let's do
We
it.
already booked it. It's in July.
I'm serious. Let's do it for real.
So I like to talk a little bit. This I didn't prep you on this one, but I think it's worthwhile to talk about based on what you've just said. But not everything is a success straight away. It doesn't work that way. And I think you're right. A lot of people do sort of, we curate our lives very specifically for our social media channels, and we let people see a very specific version of what it is we're doing. But failure is part of the game.
There's a lot of failures in those likes and loves on Instagram and Facebook.
Right.
Like, people fake it till they make it.
How do you explain to a new generation of designers that like that failure, that part that's not glamorous, the part that people didn't like, that's the part that that's where you're growing. That's how that you should cherish those moments and move past them. Resiliency is really important, right?
Yeah.
So how do we teach that to a new generation of designers?
I think we're truthful. Like every time I talk, I tell people about this story. So I got into Neiman Marcus and so they put me through all these hoops and loops, and I mean, when I tell you I spent every dime I had, okay, because they guaranteed me I was in. So did all this stuff, got my stuff manufactured in China, had a business partner, had all these meetings, everything was fine, flew to New York for the final meeting where they were gonna pick out what they were gonna put in the store. And this chick walks in and she's like, okay, call me and let me know what you have next season.
No.
And I was like, excuse me, say what? Like it took everything, and I just had to stay professional, and she left, we packed everything up, and I went to my hotel room, and my business partner left, she had to catch her flight, and I just cried like a baby, and I was screaming to God, like, why do you keep doing this to me? Like, why do you keep setting me up for these things that I think you've set up, you've put this path up, then I come here and they tell me no. I'm coming second, like, how many times on Project Runway? I get into this store, then they tell me come back next season, like, I have nothing left, and I just, like, was just done. I was like, you know what, I'm just done. Because maybe I'm not meant to be a fashion designer, because you keep telling me that I'm second place or I'm just a loser. So, you know what I mean? But I got it together, got myself together, got on my flight, went home, and I just regrouped. Because I really started thinking about everything that happened in my life that wasn't a yes. Because there are 1,000 no's for every 2 yes. I tell them that too. Tell these young ones, and everything may seem glamorous on Instagram and this and that and the other, but at the end of the day, there's a lesson in every no. There's a lesson in everything that happens to you that's negative. I had to go back to everything and figure it out. When I got off Project Runway, I was hot. I got home and I was like I felt like somebody died. Like it was like a death. Because they take so much out of you every day. Like every emotion they can find, they're gonna find it. Oh, okay, well, she's not reacting. Let's use the daughter. Just call her daughter. But if she doesn't perform well, then she can't talk to her daughter. Like it's just stuff like that. So you're mentally and physically drained when you get home. And then my husband like goes, what's for dinner? And my daughter's like, mommy, I want to play. I'm like, I just want to right now. It's just like you just have to keep up for the appearances for everybody else, but inside you're just not together. But then I started getting these emails from all these other girls that were from Nigeria, Sudan, just wherever around the world. Who were like, my mom watched, the show with you, and because of you, I can go to design school now because she said no, just like your daddy did. But then now I have a chance. So all those letters started coming in, and all these just people, and you don't think about that stuff. Like I said, I just went for the money. I didn't go to be anybody's role model or anybody's inspiration, but that was what that was, In their eyes, I didn't lose. In their eyes, I was a winner. Like when I went back to Liberia, like my face was on the billboard. Like I was like Madonna, you know what I mean? Like to them, I won just because I did it. And I was just like them, and they saw me in them. And like, wow, she did it, I can do it.
Yeah.
You know, the same thing Barack Obama did for so many young African American boys. They actually believe they could be a president now.
Right.
But before that, they probably thought they couldn't. Sometimes you have to see yourself somewhere, and I was just me. And I've done so many amazing things since then that win or lose, I would go back and finish second again.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's amazing.
I think that's very powerful. So let's talk a little bit about some of the amazing things you've done. So you have designed garments for some very impressive women around the world. You designed for Miss Universe 2011, Layla Lopez, for the first ever elected female head of state in Africa, which is a huge deal, the president of Liberia, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. You've also designed all the uniforms at Crystal Bridges, which is, again, monumental. And you also have an eco-friendly jewelry line with the Smithsonian. So what are a few of your highlight reels, specific persons or specific places that were just the most fun or the most exciting for you to jump into?
Oh my God. There's so many amazing things. You know, I got to do this interview for CNN after I did the show, and they actually flew to Little Rock. They're like, we want to come where you live. So it's actually during a show I do there every year with the Timmons Art Foundation. So I got to show them in my city, in Arkansas. They're like, wow, you guys do it big down here. Like, you know, just once again breaking down barriers, and got to interview. It was CNN International. So my dad actually got to see it in Liberia. I mean, he said he felt like, I felt like a celebrity. People kept saying, I saw your daughter on TV. And, you know, he was just so thrilled because, you know, he's never been to any fashion show I've done. He's always like, out of the country. By the way, he went back home as soon as he could because he was like, I can't do this cold. Yeah, so he went back home and he loves it back there. But yeah, he actually, now he's gone to some shows, but at the time when it happened, he had never seen a show. So to see his daughter like on TV doing something that he said he wasn't gonna pay for, that was huge for him. So I think that actually is like one of the highlights, you know. And then he obviously doing the museum uniforms, amazing. Meeting my president, the first woman, you know, I met her here when she came to DC. She had a book signing and got to meet her and just say, you know, thank you for inspiring. You know, right. She's inspiring a whole group of women now who think they can do it. And they can, you know, and to be able to just be encouraged by her and she's rooting you on, like that's massive. Who meets their president just on a regular day, you know?
Well, and then designs for them.
And get to do something for her. So that was cool. And then when I went to Liberia, she also came to my show there. I did a show in Liberia. That was probably another huge highlight. I got to talk to like women, because when I grew up in, you know, in Africa, when you go to the tailor, it's only men. Women don't sew clothes. The tailors are always men. So all my life growing up, I always saw a man doing this. So now after the war, what they do, you know, they kill the men off because they're trying to kill the head of the family. They take the women as slaves, and then the kids are as toy soldiers. So after all that is over now, you have to figure out how to regroup your life. These women are there now who are the breadwinners of their family. So learning new skills was something that they needed to do. So I got to go back. There was a group of women who were put together who wanted to design and teach them, you know, sewing and designing, and just, you know, they were so inspired that I would come and talk to them. I'm like, I'm you, you know, like God blessed me and my family not to be here where I would have to be without, you know, parts of my family. But because of that, I feel like I owe that to them, you know, to be able to go there and do that. And some of them were models in the show. Like that was just an amazing experience for me to go back and just come full circle.
Yeah, wow.
You know, after being in exile for like 30 years, you know, so that was cool.
So your most recent collection, the show that you'll be showing tonight, the one that was just at Fashion Week, it is inspired by a fellow Project Runway contestant, the late Mychael Knight. You have previously collaborated with him on an earlier collection for summer, spring 18 for New York Fashion Week. So can you tell us a little bit about, one, the importance of collaboration, and then two, how he influenced this next collection that we're about to see?
Well, you know, before I went on the show, Mychael was on season 3, so he was huge. Like he was like the fan favorite on that show. One of my top favorites in the top 3 on this season. And I got to meet him like a week, like how crazy is this? A week before I auditioned for Project Runway. He was the host of Designer's Choice, the Timmons Arts fashion show. Like that was the very first one ever.
Wow.
So I helped with that show, and then just to be there when, you know, he was the host of it, got to meet him, talk to him, and he got to look at my collection and was like, okay, what do you think I should take? Do you think I should even do this show? Am I crazy? He's like, no, do it. So just to have that a week before was like a sign. I was like, okay, God, this is a sign. I'm going to get on. I'm going to be on the show. So just to do that, and then, you know, after that, you know, we became more than just me being a fan of him. We became friends. We did All Stars together. And he called me, this is like a couple years ago, and he's like, I want to do New York. I haven't done New York in a while. Let's do New York together. So I said, okay, cool, let's do it. And we did it. And he was sick at the time. I had knee surgery. Like, we're both just struggling with a whole bunch of stuff, but we made it happen. And we decided to name it the MKKM Collection. You know, just our names are the same. And the gist of it was, like, moving forward, we were going to bring other designers on board that we thought needed the spotlight but couldn't find it, or just didn't, you know, have the opportunity to show under our umbrella. And we use, you know, our names to kind of bring light to that. So he passed away like a year later, passed away a month after the show. And a year later, you know, we agreed to do the show again. So I wanted to do a tribute show. He loved white. White was his favorite color. He loved neoprene. I've never made a white collection before because, you know, it just gets too much. And I've not used this much neoprene in my life. But I just wanted to dedicate it to him. You know, he encouraged me in a lot of ways. Like, after every show I did, Mychael always texted me and said that your collection was beautiful. And, you know, to have somebody you consider a mentor, it's like having Donna Karen text you and be like, girl, you did that. You know what I mean? Like, that was like my male version of Donna Karen, just patting me on the back and just always supporting me. And even on the show, we had a thing like, look, I'm not going to talk negatively about Mychael, and he's not going to talk about me. Don't ask him no questions about me, and don't ask me no questions about him. Like, I'm literally telling the crew this, like, it's not going to happen. And they would try it, but I'd be like, oh, I think Mychael's in trouble. Do you think Mychael's in trouble tonight? I'd be like, Mychael who? Next. You know, like, we had that brother and sister love for each other. Like, you're not going to get me to turn, because those things can go really crazy. Real quick, because they insinuate. They'll be like, well, you know, Teresa said that she thought you were in trouble. Teresa ain't said nothing. And then you go out there and you're giving Teresa attitude, and then Teresa's like, well, what's wrong with her? And that's how it starts. It's all manufactured garbage. I was like, you're not going to ruin my relationship with my boo, so don't even try it, and we won't go there. And they didn't. So, you know, it was just awesome to have. His family was there in New York, and they got to come and see the show. It was bittersweet. It was just really emotional. Gone too soon. You know, 39 years old was so much more. But one thing about Mychael, he loved designing. He did it every minute he got, and he was great at it and really good at it. And he inspired so many of us. So I can just hear him saying, you know, you're still there. You better do it. Yeah. You know, cut that tearing out. Just stop it. Just do it, because you still get to do it, you know. So hopefully you guys enjoy the show. I thought it was a great tribute to him. I hope he loved it.
Okay, well, so I'm going to ask everybody that's in the front row to move your purses off the ground, because we're going to have the models walking through there. So we're going to show you the collection, and then we're going to open it up for a question and answer session. So be thinking about our conversation that we just had, but then also looking at the outfits. What do you want to know from Kato as we move forward? So Rachel, will you cue the music? Is anybody queuing the models?
I was going to say.
Somebody should let the models know they can also come in.
So this is a twin to what I have on. I've never really talked during fashion shows, but I guess it's the first time for everything, right? So this is a twin to what I'm wearing, a coat dress. I love a coat dress. I think coat dress is like the best thing, because you can be a size 2. I can fit that right there, and I'm a size 14 solid. So that just lets you know that can cover you. People always say, well, I can't wear your stuff. Yes, you can. And it has pockets in the front, just like mine. You can slip your stuff right in there, and it's just simple glam. You know, you can wear that between now and the next 30 years, and no one will say you bought it in 2018. So this is super, super cute. It has like a faux bolero, and the dress is all one piece though. So when you get in it, you know, sometimes you just want to wear something with a little bit of flair. This really gives it to you. Really fun. I love flirty dresses that make you remind you of like when you're a little girl. Super, super cute. And no, you do not have to wear just your nude underwear under there like the girls have on. I know somebody's thinking it. You can put some stuff under there. This is runway. So 2-piece short set, and this is all scuba. So we call it neoprene, but it's really like a scuba fabric. This is the best thing women, like when you're buying your dresses now, a lot of times you'll see it made out of scuba. It is the best thing. Like you'll see nothing. It just covers you up. Sometimes you don't even have to wear Spanx. It's just like solid. So, and it's super comfortable, easy to travel. You don't have to iron it. You just get up and go. And this is a 2-piece pencil skirt under, a little flirty. I love beaded stuff if you haven't noticed. I love beadwork. I think that's the couturier in me. I hated it in school, but I love actually sitting and putting like hand beaded work on my work. It just adds a little extra and gives it something a little different.
And how much do you hand bead?
A lot. I actually enjoy it. It's actually therapeutic. Yeah. It's like making jewelry. I love making jewelry. Right. So just anything where I can just put like a personal touch on. You know, I just decided this year I wasn't going to do bridal no more, and then I'm going to make a bridal collection.
And so how much of this do you have assistants that help you with these, or how much do you do on your own?
I made all of these myself.
Wow.
Still.
So do you see these working as bridal?
Some of them, yeah. Like I could totally see that one right there as like a reception dress, something you can wear after. Even the first one, the coat dress, I'd be like the flyest mother of the bride up in that piece right there.
Right?
Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Tell the bride to go sit down because I'm here now, you know? Yeah. And a lot of it is like vacation wear. You know, you can see you wearing it on vacation in different colors. So even though it's in white, I think it's easier for you to see it in navy or whatnot. I actually made this dress for, I don't know if you guys watched The Real Housewives of Potomac, but Charisse, I designed this for her for a photo shoot at her house. And she actually modeled for me in my show in New York. Just passed. But really simple. You could wear this. I mean, some people would get married in something like this. It's really simple. Second wedding, first wedding, third, fourth, fifth.
Whichever number you're on. We're not discriminating.
And it covers, you know.
Oh, I love this.
Yeah,
one.
this is totally like beach
bridal.
wedding. You just want to shut it down one last time. Be like, I still got it. But I would wear this with like just like a plain white tank top, you know, and go out, go to dinner, you know.
I would love to wear that just going out.
Yeah,
like,
and
that's
just
a
be
nice,
like, yeah,
that's a
look
look.
at me, you know. People always say, well, I don't have anywhere to wear that. Girl, just put that stuff on and go. Wherever you go is where you can wear that, you know. I think sometimes we buy things and we put them up. Like, life is so short, you know. I think with Mychael, it just really showed that life is short. You got to live it. Yeah. You know, you have that dress in your closet with that tag on it that's been there for 30 years. Take it out and go somewhere in it. Totally resort in this. You could wear this with a bathing suit underneath. I would totally just rock it around the house just on the Sunday and just be like, girl, go wash the dishes. Cameron, go clean your room. You know, just be extra. Another take on the dress. When I make things, I drape a lot. So sometimes I just drape things and just kind of figure out, let the fabric do whatever it wants to do. I don't necessarily just sketch anymore, even though that's crazy. I used to sketch so much, but I haven't sketched in a long, long time. Like, I can't even tell you. Now I just drape and things just kind of come together. My assistant actually bought a wedding dress 8 years ago and never wore it.
Oh, wow.
And she's like, I have a wedding dress. I think you could recycle it with your collection. And actually, some of the ruffle pieces that you see are from her wedding dress that's been sitting in her closet with the tag on it for 8 years.
So you stole
so
the ruffle.
I just totally reconstructed it.
Because why not?
Yeah.
What else is it doing?
Yeah.
It's not doing anything. I love this one.
Super cute. totally say I do, or a reception dress too, or just to go out and say I'm here, y'all. I've arrived.
Okay, thank you so much.
And this is my spring 2019 collection.
So unless you want to talk about specific pieces, we could just let them go back in and then we'll do. All right, ladies. Thank you so much. You guys can go ahead and go on back. But we'll see you after the show.
Give it up for them one more time, y'all.
Yes.
I've been freezing back there.
It is very cold. It's very cold for a white collection. Okay, so we're going to open it up to a question and answer session. I think that I will bring my mic into the crowd. So let's do this. Who's got the first question for Kato?
Don't be shy.
Hey.
Hey. How are you?
Pretty good. In the beginning of the conversation, you said that you learned how to make a vest and a dress first. And I'm just curious, do you still have, I know you said you lost everything, but I'm just curious, do you still have those pieces?
I don't even know what happened to those pieces. I think I purposely lost them. They were horrible. Oh my God. I don't think I would ever want those to surface. But it did get me into design school. But I do have my sketches. I have a lot of my sketches from high school, so I still have those. My sketches from fashion school, I have those. And then I know people who bought certain things in my life, so I can always call and be like, can I see my piece again? Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so I don't want to be a designer.
Okay.
I'm not, I'm not good at art like that. But I do want to work in the fashion industry. And since you've had experience in New York, the fashion industry is very well integrated, know. So what is your advice in being in that environment, in that city? What would be your best advice for someone wanting to work in that industry or break into it?
I think the best thing is to be a designer's assistant. Every designer needs help. So I think it's an easy way in, because a lot of times those jobs aren't paying jobs. They're just kind of like, I'm here if you need me, and because they're doing all these amazing things, you get to go as well because you're helping. And then you learn the industry. You learn how to put a zipper in real quick backstage because it just fell apart right for the fashion show, or learning things like steaming and fixing things and just collaborating and styling. You can hands-on learn. Like Donna Karen dropped out of Parsons when she got the greatest internship of her life, because you can learn more that way hands-on than just from books and teachers. So I would just go to New York during Fashion Week and volunteer for as many fashion shows as you can. Talk to people, network, give your card out, and be that girl that when you're missing, where's that girl from Arkansas? When's she coming back? Be visible. I always tell my interns, if all of you left right now, especially the bad ones, I would not miss you. Be like, oh God, thank God they left, Because we talk about people like that. If you're making it worse for me, I don't need you in my life. I'm good. So when you go into a situation like that, show up. And when I say show up, I mean make sure that when you show up and you leave, they miss you. They're like, where is she? I know I had her card here somewhere. She gave me her card. Be memorable. Because I've had people who've come with me and it's didn't work out. But then I have some that are like, you were so amazing. The whole team was like, that guy is amazing, da-da-da-da. So show up. Nothing is never too little for you to ask to do. It could be the simplest thing is just taking the initiative, turning the steamer on and start steaming. If I have to come and say, why does the stuff not steam? What is the point? Because I'm like one of those I'll come and do everything and make everybody mad. I'd be like, no, y'all just go. I'm good. And I'll steam it because I'm not too good to do that stuff for myself. But if you're here to help me, help me. So when I come backstage and think I have to steam, I'm like, oh my God, the whole collection's done? Oh my God, wow. So show up. And if you ever need places to go, usually we call Parsons or FIT, they have a list of alumni that are looking for dressers, whatever. You just need to just show up and go in there. You might come in as a dresser and leave as a design assistant. Seriously, for real, I've seen it happen. Okay? Speak it though, speak it, say it.
Running in my sparkle boots.
Hi, Kata.
Hey.
Before I ask my question, I want to say thank you again. I actually walked for you in the Spring Northwest Arkansas Fashion Week.
Thank you.
Yeah, so it was an honor.
Awesome.
My question for you is, I'm a creative as well. I'm a musician. What advice would you give to other creatives who may feel like a lack of inspiration as far as creativity goes?
You know, I was just talking to somebody about this, a friend of mine, because she called me just drained. I was like, I think we need like an artist hub where we just get together and like whine and complain on some wine, and you know what I mean, like while we're drinking wine. But you know, just let it out. Sometimes when you just release, but you release around people who understand, because I know what it's like to be creative, and you tell people who aren't, they're like, girl, just do it, just get over it. Just no, it's not that easy. Sometimes you just, when you pour so much out of yourself and nothing's poured back in, you just become to the point where you're just empty. So find other creatives in your area that you could connect with, and maybe just go to Starbucks and just talk about stuff. Sometimes those little meetings, you'll leave there ready to like go and write 10 songs, you know? So find that. If you can't find that here, you know, social media is usually good for finding groups like that, but maybe, you know, that's something Robin can also add to the list of things she could do, like just that creative hub, because we need something like that. Like I give so much that sometimes I don't have anything to give myself. Like I'm just like, oh, I don't even know how to start this collection because there's nothing left. So I think we do need to kind of support each other, and then sometimes just reach out. Take the chance and just write a letter to somebody that you know is creative. You never know what they might write back. Like that world that we live in now is a little bit easier. Like you're so much closer to so many people that you thought you couldn't reach, but they're just right there at the tips of your finger. And sometimes you just take a chance. I've done it and they hit me back and I'm like, oh my God. So just do that and keep going, keep doing your thing.
Hi.
Hey.
I actually have the opposite problem. I have too much inspiration.
Okay.
And I get inspired by a lot of things, by history.
What do you do?
I'm a designer.
Okay, awesome.
A fashion designer, but I'm also a musician as well, and I'm just a general creative. But I get inspired by a lot of fashion, mostly by fabric, but by architecture, by other people, by music, and I find myself getting caught up in not being able to edit myself, and I know that editing is a huge part. So what would be some good advice from you for that?
I think, you know, when they always say, like, what's your aesthetic? You know, like when you ask designers that, if you can't explain, like, what that is, like, who are you? Like, if I was to see your pieces come out, would I recognize it? You have to hone in on that. Like, try to figure out from all these things you're inspired by and you're doing, what's mostly closest to you? Because you can go out and make 1,000 things, but if those 1,000 things mean nothing to who you are as a designer, you just wasted your time making 1,000 things. You know what I'm saying? So I think you need to just kind of figure out, okay, what do I want to say when my clothes come out or when my music comes out? Who am I talking to? What do I want them to take from it? You know, what's the overall packaging? You know, you go into J. Crew, you get it. You go into the Gap, you get it. You know, there's certain, you go in Black House, White Market, you get it. So you have to be able to do that so people get it, you know, so that you can take all the extra things that are kind of distracting you from staying on the straight line of who you're going to be as a designer and keeping focused. And sometimes it just helps. Sometimes you can bring other people in, but sometimes that can be a bad thing too. Maybe find one person that you trust their judgment and you actually respect to come in and say, okay, look, this is what I'm thinking. What do you think? And sometimes you already know, you just need somebody else to co-sign it, you know? But just kind of break that down and try to figure out who you are and then stay focused with that. You can go off the rails sometimes, but if you stay focused, you'll start building your foundation to what you want it to be.
Hi.
Hey.
So where can we find your collection
You
if
can-
we wanted to purchase? And do you make it for full figure big girls
Yes,
like
I do.
myself?
I do.
Okay.
You know, let me tell you. So that Neiman story I told you, it broke my heart, but I think this is the lesson in that I didn't say. I kept trying to put myself in this box because, you know, you go to design school, you graduate, you work at a fashion house or you start your own line, you do this, you do that, you get into stores. I was trying to go into that box because that's the box I knew. You know, and every situation, I kept getting no because that's not the box I was supposed to be in. That wasn't meant for me because even though I was gonna get into Neiman's, what I didn't tell you was my collection that I was gonna put in there was so watered down. If you saw it right now, you'd be like, who was that? They watered me down to where it was just like that wall back there. There was no cutto in it. So I was gonna sell my soul to the devil just to say I was in Neiman Marcus. So God was trying to tell me, just do your thing. So now I mainly just do custom. So I do it for you. I do it to fit you yourself. You know, I do like my accessories you can get online on my website or my Etsy page, but if you want something made, you can actually contact me and I will make it for you. So I've changed my whole scope on how I do design because, like I said, that wasn't for me. I was trying to fit myself in that box, and in order to do that, I wouldn't be, like this would be too much for them, even though it's not too much. It's just actually amazing to me, but they would have told me to take all this off, take this off, and then, you know, I really wasn't happy about I hated the collection, but I just wanted to be in Neiman Marcus. And I was willing to sell everything I had, literally, to be in there. So I saw the lesson later. I was like, okay, fine, you win, you right. But, you know, so yeah, so to answer your question, you can hit me up on my website, and I would love to make you something.
Hello.
Hey.
I'm a creator and I draw and paint.
Okay.
But I would like to know any advice on how to bring my creativity to the picture or to the.
So what do you draw? Like when
I
you
have
draw,
a
you do it on
couple-
canvas or?
Yes, canvases, women with afros and things, but I want to envision my picture, my own image, and draw it. It's hard for me to do that. Like,
I think when you do stuff like that and you want to take it beyond just the canvas, you know, there's a lot of wearable art now. You know, people are using other things to paint on, like earrings and handbags, like things that people can use every day. Think of things that people can use every day. iPhone cases, like I don't have my phone out here, but my friend just designed an iPhone case for OtterBox. She just happened to be at a conference with the CEO of OtterBox and said, hey, I have these great prints. I would love to put it on your OtterBox. And he said, okay, well, send me the prints. She said, okay. She sent it to him, boom.
okay, so
Sometimes you just gotta go there. Like,
Okay, so
think about
how-
all the things you do and how you can put it out there.
I'm sorry.
You're fine.
How did you get into drawing fashion? Like putting what you see in your head onto paper?
I could always draw, so it's kind of like a cheat sheet because I could always draw, whereas not every designer knows how to draw. But I think you can start to have great templates now that you can get. You can get them online. Barnes & Noble has them where it'll teach you how to draw different silhouettes. Like when I went to design school, even though I could draw, I didn't know how to make a dress that looked like it was chiffon and flowing. So I actually took classes like that. You see, you guys are in a generation where you can go on YouTube and learn everything I paid some good, well, Martina Todd paid some good money for. And just learn it at your own convenience. So like whatever you want to learn, you can go on there and just literally figure all that out, how to draw those basic things and go from there. But I think when you talk about your artwork, I would figure out how to get it out beyond the canvas. You know, on the back of your jean jacket,
Yes,
on
I
your
want to see
jeans,
that.
you know, on somebody's backpack.
Yes.
Things that people wear every day, my laptop case. And people ask, well, oh my God, where'd you get that from? Oh, so-and-so made it for me. And that's how it starts.
Yes.
You know, I took a jewelry course in Little Rock years ago, and I just did it for me. I just want to make some jewelry for me because certain things I wanted to buy I couldn't find. And the more I made them, people kept stopping me and buying it off my ears and taking it off my neck. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll just start a little jewelry business. And I mean, who knew? Like I designed stuff for the Smithsonian, and you go to Crystal Bridges right now, my jewelry's in their gift shop. You know, like I never imagined that. You know, but my stuff is always like, it starts very selfish for me, but then it grows into something. So just try that. Just try one or two things and just put it out there and just see, it'll start coming back to you. And before you know it, you have so many orders, you won't even know how to keep them up.
Hello.
Hey.
I actually have a question from my daughter. She wanted to know, how did you stay motivated just throughout your career? Like when you started something and you had like a block and you're just like, oh, I don't want to do this. How did you say, I'm going to do this, and kept going?
I think I thought about all the people that just told me I couldn't do it. You know, because in design school, I had teachers that told me, you know, maybe you might want to, you know, find, you know, when they saw that vest. You might want to, think about another profession, or, they just, sometimes your haters are really, people say your haters are your motivators, but they really do motivate you. Like, if I quit now, they win, and then I have a daughter who needs to see her mama working, and she needs to see that mama gets knocked down, but she always gets back up. And, I have a son now who's growing up and watching me work, and it's important for me, for them to see that that's life. You're going to get knocked down, in your little itty bitty 14-year-old life or 4-year-old life or 10-year-old life. Stuff's going to knock you down, but it's not how many times you get knocked down. It really is how quickly you get back up, or just get back up, period. And once you get back up, you just got to do it. Sometimes you have to motivate you. Sometimes I don't want to sew. I don't want to do anything. I just want to lay around and watch Lifetime movies. But I can't, because those emails keep coming from these people. They're like, oh my God, I just watched your season in Australia, and you've motivated me to do da-da-da-da-da. So, those things keep me motivated too. Just so many people, if I stop, they're going to be like, okay, well, if she stopped, what's going to happen to me? Like, they really believe that, There's so much power in what you do and your words. So keep doing it, whatever you're doing, and don't stop, okay? It's always going to be hard, but that's life. But there's some good times, and, that come as well. Nothing's always bad all the time. That's good. You heard my life story today, so you can tell all those bad times that happen, good things happen too.
Hi.
Hey.
So I'm definitely not in fashion, but my husband is Liberian.
Oh my God.
And we just had a baby, so he's he's half Liberian, half Haitian, because I'm originally from Haiti. I actually came just to kind of understand his culture a little bit better, because he's the only Liberian besides his parents that I know. And so I just wanted to tell you, like, I feel like we have so much more in common now.
Yeah.
And like I feel like I understand him more, and I can kind of see him, me and him, and by just listening to you, really.
Yeah.
So
We're
really
complex, just African people, period. Like, my husband's had a hard time. He's like, we got to do what now? We have our traditions that we, even though we're not there, we're closer to them because we're here. Like, when we got married, he still had to write this letter to my dad. Like, I wrote it and he signed it. I was just like, he's not going to say, no, we're going to get married. Just give him he just lived for this moment. Let him have this moment. Yeah. And he's like, I don't understand. I was like, boy, just sign your name right here. I already wrote the letter. So, just stuff like that. Like, we have our traditions and we stay so close to them because we're not home. So if does he cook Liberian food?
Well, he's mom. I love dry rice medicine and what's it called? It's like a
the jollof rice.
Nut. No, I don't really.
No jollof.
I'm not. But I have like Nigerian and Ghanaian friend for the jollof rice. But like the dry rice medicine and the spinach thing that they do, I love.
It's good with the fried fish.
Yeah,
Saturday food.
Yeah. So I'll
awesome.
have
Just be patient with him. We have good hearts, but we're stuck in our African ways, and just love us for that. But yeah, that's awesome. Tell him I say hi. Why didn't he come? I'm offended now.
He was at work, and he has a travel early tomorrow.
Okay,
morning.
fine.
I know. I wish he was here though.
Okay.
Hi.
Hello.
I'm originally from Cameroon.
Oh, awesome.
And just so impressed by you. I've watched Project Runway 10 years ago. My main question is that I've heard you talk about God so many times, how you prayed, and how do you stay faithful when you live in a world? I mean, the fashion industry is brutal. From what I've watched on TV, how do you stay faithful? How?
That's the only thing that keeps me sane. Like, honestly, that's what kept me. Like, we weren't even supposed to take books on the show. And I remember I opened my suitcase. They go through everything with a fine tooth comb. And he picked up my Bible. I was like, look, you can go through those pages. I swear there's no cheat notes in there, but I need that. I need it. And it's like, okay, you can have it. And he told everybody, if anybody else has one, everybody's like, well, I don't even go to church. It was just like that. So they let me have my Bible, but it's just like, that's the only thing that keeps me. Like, honestly, since that day, like when that woman said she would pay for my way through school, and I just understood, like my mom would tell me stuff, growing up, but it never clicked until that moment. God will find a way. It was just like one of those things she just says. Like your mom was like, make sure you wear good underwear in case you get in an accident. Until you get in that accident and they have to rip your clothes off, you'd be like, dang, I should have wore that good panties. But I never thought about that. But that happened too. I was like, she was right. You just think it's stuff that your mama says that's just irritating, but she was right. God always finds a way. So now I don't get stressed. I used to suffer from panic attacks, and like every time I would do something new I'm really, really shy. I know it sounds weird. I know I am. But I used to just not talk. Like in school, a lot of my classmates are like, how did you do this? Because you never spoke. Like they would leave me places. I was so quiet. You know, I just always like deadly afraid of like being around crowds and people, but this has brought me out of my shell. And I think because, you know, I just pray about it and I just leave it alone because I didn't want to take medicine anymore for the panic attacks. And I just know every time I get in the situation, it works out. Not always as quickly as I think it will, but it does. So I was like, why are you stressing out? Just chill out and he'll find a way. If it doesn't work now, it'll work next week. Just chill out and it will. And I swear to God, it does. It does. So I think that's how I keep it because I know he always does come through for me. He saved my family. When so many of my friends lost their parents, their siblings, I lost classmates. But that prayer I gave, he saved my family. We're still together to this day, and I thank God for that. And for that, that's why I don't give up on it.
So let's take one more question. Do we have one more to round out the evening? I should have just thrown it.
Hello. I have a little bit of a different question. In the past, I don't know, I would say quite a few years, it seems that a lot of fashion is fast fashion, real quick, real disposable. I wanted to know, especially since you make jewelry that's sustainable and stuff like that, do you think that there can be a leap to eventually correct fashion to where it could be sustainable and not so pulling of resources from labor and natural resources and all that, and even doing it where we can maybe produce fabrics locally in communities and stuff like that?
I think it's definitely there. I think just like anything, somebody has to start it and stick with it. You know, a lot of designers, there's a young lady that was on All Stars with me, Elena, Russian girl. She started a sunglass line, completely 100% sustainable. It's more expensive though, but I think we have to understand, just like going to Whole Foods and going to Kroger, you get what you pay for. And if you want quality and things that are also good for this earth, we want the earth to be here for our children, we're gonna have to maybe spend a little bit more and keep it longer than spend less and it's gone next week and then go back, you know what I'm saying? So I think once we all kind of get together and sit down, the fashion industry in New York we're now kind of talking about those things. How do we keep, you know, everything in the US? You know, because that's where it used to be before, and then, you know, everything just kind of went overseas. I think more and more people are seeing that now. They're seeing what it's doing to the environment, like the waste just alone on a pair of jeans that you wear. If you saw what happens with a pair of jeans, you probably never wear jeans again. Like, seriously. So I think it's just awareness. You know, everybody has to do their part. It starts small, but I think we're getting there. I think people are getting the message. The memo is kind of coming through. So I'm thankful that I'm able to like recycle and repurpose things. Like I said, for this collection, you know, I repurposed a lot of things, and instead of going to a fabric store and getting new things, I took things I already had and just made them new and fabulous again. And it's just as great. And because I do a lot of custom, I can do that. I'm not doing mass production. I'm not doing all that. Did it once, and it wasn't my thing, and I think it helps me to do it that way. I can control what I put out there and put my name on it and be, you know, not embarrassed that I did, you know. I want to give a quick shout out to somebody. You know, years ago, my very first time to Northwest Arkansas, I came to this beautiful spa with this young lady right here, Miss Helena. She brought me out here. We did a show in her spa. She was so welcoming. I actually came 2 or 3 times and did a show with her. So thank you for just always supporting me. She supported my sustainable line that I did in her spa. You know, it takes people like that who have opportunities who see something in the young designer and give you that chance. And we all have that opportunity here. You all know somebody who's trying to do something. Maybe they talked about it forever and ever and they've never stepped out of it. Maybe it just takes one of you to just say, look, I don't know how to make cupcakes, but I'll come and I'll mix the batter with you. I can find out, help you do your booth at a local event. It just takes somebody, because when I came here, I didn't have any friends. It was just me and my husband, and he was like, I just support from the back. But I met all these people who didn't know me, who have come on my team and are still with me, but they were there helping me backstage. A young lady backstage right now, I met her when she was 6 and wanted to be a designer way before Project Runway, and she just saw something in me. She goes, I want to be a designer. She's going to school now at Fayetteville, taking fashion design, and she's 18 now, still with me, still backstage helping me. It just takes one person to believe in you for you to feel like you can do something. So just be a force in somebody's life. It could be a complete stranger like I was to that lady that helped me go to school, but you can change somebody's life. That one change and gift is the difference between me being on this stage right now and you not even knowing who I was. I just came to Arkansas and braided hair the rest of my life, and you never would have known had I not had people who pushed me. So just support somebody, even if it means that you're not going to get anything from it. Just do it. It'll just make you feel so good to just see them years later just doing amazing things. So do your thing, okay? Don't give up on it. Just stay inspired and just stick with it. Hit me up on Facebook or Instagram if you need a push. I'll give you a little smack talking email back and get you back on.
I think that's a great opportunity to plug the Arkansas Arts and Fashion Forum. Shameless plug here at the end.
Yes.
But the 501c3 that supports this program is meant specifically to, you're supposed to come to us with these ideas. If you have a creative desire to produce something, whether it's fashion or makeup or painting, come to us. We would love to be able to connect you to more community members, to provide resources, or even just to listen and provide feedback. So I just want to say thank you so much, Kato, for coming.
Thank you for having me. Thank you guys so much. You're such a great crowd.
And thank you all so much for coming this evening to our very first speaker series for our educational pilot program. We will announce the next speaker series on our social media pages and on our website. So if you ever want to know what we're up to next, it's arkansasfashion.org. And we are having our first beginner sewing workshop in January. So the date's set for that. So if you're interested in taking a sewing workshop with one of our local designers, contact us because we're starting to sign people up now. So thank you so much for coming out.
Amen. Thank you guys. Get home safe.